Disney is home to many different rides and attractions, and over the park's 50+ year lifespan, we have lost many of those. And I want to discuss 10 attractions that I believe Disney should have never closed, or at least given a second chance, because the ride didn't have enough time in their lifespan to work through issues, or just that attraction's replacement was 10 times worse than the ride that used to be there, or some attractions that were just so beloved that Disney should have never taken them away in the first place. Obviously, Disney is going to have some of the most notable attractions in history, and I'm looking to make a video about Disneyland coming up as well on the same topic, but I wanted to start off with Disney World just because I have experienced a lot of these attractions. I've grown up at Disney World and I've been visiting the park numerous times ever since I was 4 years old, so I want to dive into some rides Disney should have never closed. So let's get right into it. I wanted to pick an attraction from every park, but Animal Kingdom is definitely one of the hardest parks to truly dive into because it hasn't been open long enough to have many defunct attractions. Now I know there's an obvious answer here, and that's Dinosaur. This just recently closed. It was a fan favorite and I did adore this ride, and I'm sad that it's gone, but I do think Indiana Jones will be a very worthy replacement, and we don't know what it's going to look like yet, so we can't truly say that Disney should have never closed Dinosaur. So what I'm going to pick instead are the Discovery Riverboats. Now you may not even know that this attraction existed. It was an opening day attraction at Animal Kingdom, and you know that river that goes around all of Animal Kingdom, and there are some abandoned props and station buildings throughout, and this was a way to get around the park, similar to how Epcot has the boats within World Showcase Lagoon. However, there were some theming elements throughout, the most notable being teases for Beastly Kingdom when that was supposed to happen, but the ride closed shortly after it opened. It didn't even operate for a year, and it's sad because I feel like they just left it completely. They didn't really give it a chance. They didn't think of a replacement. They didn't even bother with this attraction really at all. Plus, I think having an active transportation at the largest Disney park just makes sense, and I do wish this attraction was still here. I think it'd be a very relaxing, enjoyable ride to have within the park. But let's move over to Hollywood Studios. This park is another area with many defunct attractions. However, I feel like many of them paved the way for something better. Even though the park has completely lost its identity, you can click that video here to see what I mean, but lands like Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge are incredible and really enjoyable lands. It's really hard to say that, Streets of America should stick around when we have things like Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. There really is no competition here, but there is one attraction I think is the most notable, and that's going to be the Great Movie Ride. The Great Movie Ride was such an iconic attraction. It was an opening day ride with the park, which is very crazy to say because the park opened with literally 2 rides, and it took you through the history of movie making and some of the most iconic films ever made. It was a very long ride with cast members who would take on acting roles and make you feel like you stepped onto a movie set. It was so cool. It was something so different than literally any attraction. It truly was ahead of its time. The ride was just timeless. It was so great. It was so simple, but so perfect. And even though the main reasons the ride closed was the TCM license ending, I wish Disney had just found a new sponsor or kept funding the ride itself and kept it going, because there is a lot of incredible history with the Great Movie Ride. I really wish it had stuck around because the attraction truly embodied Hollywood Studios. Now, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is a fantastic attraction, but it doesn't belong at Hollywood Studios, and it would have been much better built from the ground up, as we saw at Disneyland. The attraction fits perfectly in Disneyland, because Disneyland's is in Mickey's Toontown Fair, a beautiful family area that, fun fact, used to be at the Magic Kingdom, and now this is when we transition over to the Magic Kingdom, where I want to say Mickey's Toontown Fair should have never closed. Storybook Circus is a nice area, but compared to Toontown Fair, it's a joke. Smelephant's by Parade is awful. Casey Jr. Splash Pad is nothing compared to Donald's Boat. And sure, we got the Dumbo attraction moved over here and a second aerial carousel to increase capacity. However, Dumbo belongs in Fantasyland, and it makes way more sense over there. And then the Barnstormer made way more sense when you went through an actual barn. The land was just better. Toontown Fair itself was just perfect too. You had Mickey and Minnie's houses, you still had all the meet and greets, you had everything Storybook Circus has right now, but instead of Dumbo, you have a very fluent land that's over the top animated and tells a great story. I have so many childhood memories from here, so sure, you could say that this is a lot of nostalgia, but I do think Toontown Fair was miles better than Storybook Circus. Plus, with Runaway Railway coming to Disneyland, I think this would have made way more sense in the Magic Kingdom. Plus, then you get the ground up version of this attraction that's much better, makes way more sense, and fits the park overall better, and it would give Toontown Fair something iconic. Disneyland's Toontown was always superior because it had a Roger Rabbit cartoon spin, and then Runaway Railway just really put the nail in the coffin to solidify it as a very elite land. And I think that if, well, Disney World got the same treatment, Toontown Fair would still be going strong today. But now let's head back and talk about another attraction within the Magic Kingdom, and that's Stitch's Great Escape. Now, I never did Stitch's Great Escape because I was too scared. However, I thought the ride looked very impressive, and it was a nice save from what was extraterrestrial alien encounter. But now, here's the thing. Disney closed the ride back in 2018, and I think they did want to replace it with this rumored Wreck-It Ralph attraction that was supposed to come in. But the biggest rumor is that the building apparently had asbestos in it, and tearing it down was going to be a lot harder. It would have to close rides like the People Mover for a while, and while the People Mover already got an extended closure and a decent overhaul, I doubt they would want to close it again for a long period of time, especially with it being the People Eater it is. But I will say, I think it's better to have an attraction than no attraction, and the fact that the building has now been sitting and rotting for 8 years with no plans and no signs of construction ever coming in, it's just very sad. Disney should have kept operating it and kept going strong if this was the case. But now, let's stay in the Magic Kingdom, where I feel like there's another fairly obvious attraction. Now, I would say the Rivers of America, personally, but again, we've not seen its replacement yet, so I don't really want to say much for that one. Instead, I'm going to talk about Splash Mountain. This may be controversial, I know, but I think most of us can agree that Splash Mountain was a better ride and fit in Frontierland than Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Tiana's was clearly rushed, and I think Tiana does deserve an attraction within Disney World. I just don't think taking over a 1993 ride system that needed a lot of updates in fixtures, not to the scenery, but to the ride system itself, was what Tiana needed. When they built this ride, they updated the scenery, but they didn't touch the ride at all. They needed to fix the boats or update some of the track, and they didn't do any of that. Those were some of the biggest issues with Splash Mountain. Hence why there are still so many issues with Tiana's today, and the attraction's been operating for 2 years. Now, don't get me wrong, it was rare to get a perfect ride with every animatronic working, but here's the difference. Splash Mountain had 70 plus animatronics, so you would probably get around 50 to 60 of them working. Tiana's has less than 20. And it's rare you get more than 10 working. Plus, I feel like a lot of people are going to remember Splash Mountain for the 3 years between the closure announcement and the actual closure, where Disney just kind of let the ride rot. So when Splash Mountain did close in 2023, it was in a very sad and depressing state. Plus, I just think the look of Splash Mountain fit Frontierland so much better. I mean, the clay structure and the very light greenery just fit way more than this overwhelming swampy marsh covered with flowers, when right next to it is literally a desert with dried out rocks. And Splash Mountain had a lot of life to it, which was then ripped out for more screens and projections, which is always so sad to see. So in my opinion, there's no doubt Splash Mountain just should have stayed. Also, there's one more Magic Kingdom attraction I want to mention. It's one that people sometimes forget about, but to me, it still stands out, and that's Snow White's Scary Adventure. This ride was a classic dark ride, and there weren't many like it at the Magic Kingdom. The only other one is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which was the successor to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Now, I would love to include Mr. Toad's on this list too, but Winnie the Pooh is such a beloved attraction, especially with the kids, that it's hard to argue that Mr. Toad should have stayed, even though I personally do think it was 100% better and is still a standout attraction at Disneyland. But when it comes to Snow White's Scary Adventure, I think its replacement was so disappointing. I love live entertainment, especially in the parks, but I don't think it makes sense to remove a whole attraction just to add a meet and greet. If it had been a show, I might feel differently, but a meet and greet can really go anywhere in the park, and you can even have these characters walk around. So replacing a truly classic attraction with something like that just feels like a loss, especially since Snow White's Scary Adventure was a legitimate true Magic Kingdom classic. I'll admit, the ride was scary. I remember being traumatized by it, but I did also love it. If it were still around today, it would be amazing to have that piece of Disney history in the park's lineup. There just aren't many classic attractions left at the Magic Kingdom, while Disneyland, on the other hand, has managed to keep most of theirs. I really wish the ride was still here for so many reasons. But now let's talk about Epcot, where I feel like there's the most to dive into here, because it has a lot of abandoned structures and attractions, most notably the Wonders of Life Pavilion. Now, Disney was trying to convert it into the Disney Play Pavilion, which I really wish had gone through. Again, any additional capacity is great, and an attraction is better than no attraction. And they started it. They repaneled the entire building. They clearly started construction inside, but then they just left it. They let it rot, which should not have happened. It's very sad to see. And in the end, I just wish they never closed Wonders of Life in the first place. Cranium Command was a really cool, unique show. Body Wars was a super unique attraction. I think that if it just got some modern graphics, it would be much better because the idea was really cool. And yeah, it also just embodied the history and what Epcot is supposed to be. Disney should address this more across the park as a whole, and sometimes they do it really well, like with Test Track 3.0, but sometimes it falls flat. And man, I've seen this building sit abandoned for years, and it just makes me wish Disney had never closed it in the first place. But now, let's go back to Test Track, because we were diving into it, and I think we can all agree that the best version was the first version, and they never should have touched it. Test Track 2.0 sucked. It was abysmal. Nobody liked it. It took so much life out of the attraction, and while there were concepts that I thought were cool, they were just executed so poorly. It was so bad that then they had to update the attraction again with Test Track 3.0, which I think is much better. It was the best version of the ride, so I think if they just implemented some things from 3.0 but kept a lot of the original aspects of the attraction, it would be such an incredible ride. It just makes me wish that Disney hadn't invested all of this money into that ride. Millions of dollars have been wasted on Test Track. Meanwhile, if they just kept that first version going strong, it would still be a fan favorite. Speaking of the first version going strong, let's talk about Journey into Imagination. The first version was always the best, and I really wish I could have experienced it. The Timekeeper and Figment just had this character dynamic and storyline that just made perfect sense, and everybody loved it. And then when they turned it into Journey into Your Imagination, they cut the ride length in half, and they ruined it. They tried taking away Figment, and then everyone complained. Disney had to scramble to make a new ride with Figment that was better, but he was never supposed to be in this version. So you could clearly tell it was a quick save of something that wasn't good. So I wish Disney could have kept going strong with Journey into Imagination. Give it some light touches, but keep that original version intact. Again, another thing Disney invested millions in, and they shouldn't have bothered with it at all in the first place. And I hope one day Disney does go back to the drawing board with this attraction and bring it back to its original vision that everybody loved. But unfortunately, I just don't think that'll ever happen. But finally, let's talk about the attraction I think we can all agree Disney should have never closed. Horizons. I definitely think that if the sinkhole hadn't happened, the ride would still be operating today, and I also wish Disney could have gone in and fixed Horizon's structural issues so it could keep running, because the attraction was so cool. The ride had no haters, it still has its fans to this day, and Mission Space is such a lackluster attraction. It's boring and very basic that fans have been asking for it to go, and man, Disney loves referencing Horizons in literally everything. They love slapping the old logo around the park, they bring it up in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think we can all agree Horizons just should have never left in the first place, and Disney should have kept it going strong, and I think by far, this is the most obvious candidate for a ride that should have never closed. Now, there are also so many other attractions within Disney World that I think should have kept going strong. World of Motion is one I would have loved to experience, and I think would still be a hit to this day. There's a long list of attractions, but these are just 10 of the ones personally I think Disney should have never bothered with in the first place. But comment down below, what were some of your favorites if I mentioned some of these rides, and some of the memories you had experiencing some of them, and other attractions in the park that you think Disney should have never closed in the first place. Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, this is Hunter from Theme Park Hunting, and I will see you all later.